Hi guys, Teacher Maria here. Today at our School of SFB we are going to learn about classical drawing techniques. Just one pencil that allow you create really complicated realistic drawings. Like this one, I made it when I was 12. We'll start from more simple shapes like vegetables, eggs, and end up with more complicated shapes, drawing them during next class. Because if you master pencil drawing, then you can easily paint. The only difference between painting and drawing is color, right? Okay, let's start. I'm going to draw this egg today, but I will set it aside for a while and show you a technique called cross-hatching. Artists back in the days had to create photorealistic drawings, and they only had the pencils for it. So they learned to control the darkness of the pencil really well and add darkness gradually. So this is what we're going to do today. I will make a scale, and this part will be light, and this part will be dark, and the rest will be a transition, right? So I will start very, very lightly, making strokes that are very close to each other, that are parallel. Watch my hand, how I hold my pencil. And then eventually I will start pressing more on my pencil. See, it's getting darker now. And a little bit more. And a little bit more. And at some point, I reach the maximum of darkness. I can't make it any darker. This is when I might need the second pencil for B. And this pencil is darker, so I can continue my scale. And continue my smooth transition. If I, by accident, leave gaps between my strokes, I try to get rid of them. Pencil drawings often require just flat backgrounds, so you need to know how to make it in pencil. Okay, this was hatching. Now I might want to add strokes at a different angle, which will add even more darkness at the bottom of my scale. This is called cross-hatching. Now I want to say a few words about the technique I'm using. I am not holding my pencil pressed against the paper all the time. I'm not going like this. But instead, I'm lifting my pencil each time I end the stroke, and I put it down each time I start the stroke. It is actually very close to doing this. You just rise it every time. Why? Because see, over here, my lines get darker at the ends, and where they meet, they make a patch. Patch, patch, patch. And that's bad. If I want a smooth background, I don't want any patches there. No. So here, with this stroke that's getting a little bit lighter at the ends, can make another row of strokes, and they will connect just perfectly will be a very, very smooth connection. And I can continue and continue. If I decide to darken it up at some area, I can add cross hatching. This is a very common technique professional artists use. I want you to try to master it today. And we can practice it on drawing some small objects. But first, just scales. From light to dark, smooth transition. So I have this simple round object, egg, and you can find something like that at home. It can be an egg or a tennis ball, it can be an apple, but it should be a monochromatic object, just easier to see the shape. Okay, so this is where approximately I want my egg to be. First, I start from positioning marks, left, right, bottom, top, and I can start slowly connecting these dots, never pressing too hard on my pencil so I can always erase like that. It is very important that you have control over the position of your object. Remember to ask yourself, what is wrong with my oval? Well, probably it's a little bit more flattened than I needed on top, so I can fix that. Next step, I'm gonna find a shadow. Most of you have had these classes dedicated to light and shadow, right? But let me remind you that there is an object and there is a lamp. And the lamp is looking at the object. And that part of the object that the lamp can see will be light. And the one that it cannot see will be shadow, right? And this is called an object shadow. But also there will be some part of the table where this object sits that lamp also will not see because it's been blocked, right, by the object. So there will be a cast shadow that falls from the object. There will be a very dark spot right under the object, right, because the light just cannot get in there. And there will be a core shadow, a transition between light and shadow. Also, there will be some transition over here, slightly darker and darker and darker and darker and darker. So this is how light falls on my egg too. Here there will be a core shadow, right? You can see that this part of the egg is especially dark. But there is also some lightness on the egg, right? And it's pretty significant. Why? Because this white that surrounds the egg is reflecting back of the egg. It's called reflected light. All right, let's start shading now. Just like we learned, ideally, if you are right-handed, then you start from the left, right? So you don't smear your drawing. And if you're left-handed, you do the opposite thing, start from the right. And it's easy to start from top again, so you don't smear it. See, in my strokes, I'm trying to kind of hug my egg. Follow the round shape of the egg. You can try that too. I started from the light, it's easier. But it's a good idea to know where exactly will be the darkest part of the shadow. So I think in my case it's over here. And I can even darken it up right now, or even add this darker pencil later. And remember, this is the lightest. You can even rub your finger a little bit to make things a little bit more blended, see? And then use your eraser to make a highlight. Even though it's very bright, we don't want it brighter than the light, right? So let's add darkness to it. Alright, I think at this point I need to draw the cast shadow, because without the cast shadow, this doesn't look completely three-dimensional. It's really dark under. Let's start from that. I'm trying not to touch my drawing, because you know what happens, right? It smears immediately. The shadow is not a real thing, so it will have much softer transition, much softer outline. And I'm working on it right now, starting from light to dark. If I make it a sharp outline, it will look like a dark circle on paper. It will not look like a shadow. What do I want to fix now? It was almost ready. Probably a few things. This seems too blended with the shadow. I will add a little bit of an accent. I can sometimes add a thin line. Not an outline, but just a stress to pull something out. There's especially dark over here. Use the very tip of my eraser to erase a thin line. Remember that you can sharpen your eraser using knife, or you can just cut it in triangles like this with your scissors. So you can use pointy parts, but there are also erasers like this. Okay, and I just want to clean up the background again by putting my eraser on the side. So let's start drawing some simple basic round shape. Let's try to make it as round as possible. And please find a lamp so that light will be on one side of the object and the shadow on the other one. Thank you. Let's start.